Hey everyone, so a few weeks ago I said I was going to try to start to do weekly Q&As, and it's been a little bit over a week, mostly because I've been busy with Halo Wars, but I figured I'd get the first one out by answering some of your questions. If you have any questions of your own, just leave them in the comments below, and hopefully I'll answer them in a week or so. Okay, well, I'm going to start with a common one, and that's, is there going to be an SPV3 for Halo 2? And the answer is an easy no. Despite my problems with Halo 2, of which some I don't even know how to fix, and I'll be detailing that in another upcoming video about Halo 2. Halo 2 Vista for the computer has a broken editing kit, and 90% of the stuff that the Halo 1 editing kit lets us do, we have to find all sorts of hacky workarounds to do in Halo 2. So even stuff like importing a new model is extremely difficult in Halo 2. Never mind trying to do all sorts of scripting and all the debug commands that let us, diagnose problems. Halo 2 Vista just wasn't designed to support custom maps like Halo 1 was, so there's no real way for us to modify Halo 2. That said, I am interested in potentially maybe one day doing a very basic mod on it that just adjusts damage values and spawns in a very basic way, but I won't be working on that until SPV3 Part 2 is out the door. And even then, it's not necessarily something I'm excited to do. I'm just more curious about it. So, yeah, don't expect anything with Halo 2 coming from us, well, ever. And I know people have asked, well, can't you just put Halo 2 and Halo 1? And I did work with a group a couple of years ago to try to do this, and there's just too many changes that they made in Halo 2 to just the way the levels operate in terms of geometry and how it renders and getting certain script commands to work for things like really weird obscure things like the phantoms and how they boost into areas and the amount of time it takes them to reach someplace. Things like the little well, they're called device machines, but you'll probably think of them as movable geometry that you can stand and fight on. Stuff like that you can't do in Halo 1 because the AI don't know how to interact with it. They just think they're about to fall into the ocean, like, say, the gondolas on Delta Halo. So, yeah, doing Halo 2 and Halo 1 won't be good. And frankly, in this day and age, it's a lot easier to go download Halo 2 for Windows Vista and play it on one of your computers. I'm assuming most people are on Windows 7 or Windows 10. And hopefully none of you guys are stuck on XP or even worse, Windows Vista itself. But yeah, I mean, the Halo 2 campaign is easily played on the PC, it's played on the original Xbox, the 360, and the Xbox One. So yeah, it's not really worth the effort of, trying to make it work in Halo 1. Alright, so, Masters, is it possible to add dual wielding using this engine? If not, that is fine. So, no, you can't do dual wielding. You've probably seen some maps in Halo 1 where you can pick up like a paired set of weapons. The problem with this is that there's this thing called functions in the weapons, and the best example of this is the plasma pistol. And you'll notice that you have, your heat meters, the way it overcharges, and the effects, and those are all tied to certain functions in the weapon. And even though you can make a combined weapon that sort of works, but not really, you lose access to that. So things such as like ammo counters on the guns wouldn't work, or certain effects would have to be worked around in a way that, just wouldn't be good. And then you run into problems where if the gun overheats, like if you have a plasma rifle SMG combo and the plasma rifle overheats, then the entire gun stops working. Or if one of the SMGs has to be reloaded, both have to be reloaded. And it's like a very obscure thing and not something that we'd be interested in. Especially since, you can't find one weapon and pick up another, which is the whole point of dual wielding. So yeah, there won't be ever any dual wielding in SPV3 unless there's a true and proper way to do it like Halo 2 did. And that's not really feasible either. There's just a crazy amount of coding that would have to go on, and it's not really possible without the source code to the game. Don't ever assume you'll see real dual wielding in Halo CE. So, sorry Masters, this may seem like a silly question, but the graphics been improved in the SPV 3.1 release that will hopefully be out in June. And the answer is yes, you'll see some minor improvements. We've decompressed some of our textures and upgraded some of the other ones. We also have this new tool, which lets us search and find in some of the larger pieces of game data, so you can actually do more texture variants in some levels. And we're also hoping it might let us do some new graphical upgrades for areas as well, although there's no plans for that for the original part of the campaign. We could still potentially do stuff with that. So there's been some new tools that let us do some new things. And, you know, hopefully, you know, you'll see some upgraded graphical fidelity with that. Another person asked, hey man, do you at least plan to release some kind of abandoned concepts video to show us the ideas you had with your Prometheans and how far in design they came, etc.? Well, they're not Prometheans, they're Sentinels. But, no, there's no plans at this time, and I know people have been saying, well, can you release what you have for them? And, you know, what we have is concept art and some very rough prototypes, which just are like a series of boxes that stand around the maps, or, you know, Marines holding, you know, Halo 4 weapons just for placeholder. So there's nothing really for people to, you know, play with or anything of that sort. It's all just, you know, junk that shows like, oh look, it can transform when it needs to flee, or this is a big bunch of triangles stay in this location, you can blow off the shoulders and the head armor, and you know, that's it. So there's nothing really to release. Once we had our prototypes, which were basically, you know, hunters wielding, you know, fuel rod guns that shot out incineration can like explosives, and like Marines holding certain weapons, you know, that's as far as it ever really got. But once we started putting those in maps, you know, that's when we realized it's not gonna work. You know, these guys are getting, you know, killed instantly when they're in the Keys mission, or, you know, I can't find any good place to place these guys in Maw or Keys, you know. So no, that's as far as it goes. So another person asks, I feel the answer will be no, but is it possible and worth time to add a co-op? And the answer is no. Never mind that none of our content is built for co-op. There's certain things that we do in like really weird hacky ways that wouldn't work with 2 players, even if we had split screen. But there's no real way of syncing the AI across computers. There's some weird solutions that some people do for multiplayer maps, but it doesn't really work for the type of environment we need for a campaign. So, no, I don't think it'll ever be something that we'd be able to accomplish in Halo CE. You know, unfortunately, the game just doesn't support it, and even if it did, we'd have to rework some serious stuff. A lot of our new areas don't support 2 players in terms of loading AI, and some of the weapon functionality, like the battle rifle single shot, wouldn't work if you had 2 players. And nope, it won't be happening. Cal Milker asks, I have 3 questions. How long has SPV3 been in development? Where and when did you come up with the idea of SPV3 and everything in it? And finally, can you help 343 make the next Halo better? So, SPV3, we got the team back together in summer 2011, and then we did a version of not Silent Cartographer, Truth and Reconciliation, and then the team split into 2 groups, and most of the focus was on getting Silent Cartographer evolved as a standalone map out. And then after that, the rest of us tackled finishing up SPV3. Development on SPV3 restarted in fall 2013, I believe. I want to say fall 2013. Yeah, fall 2013. You know, and then we released June 25th, 2016, and we're hoping to release the rest of it June 25th, 2017. That's not a set date. That's what our goal is. You know, we have no problem delaying that to sometime else in summer if we feel that the delay will be worth it. So, part 1 took about 3 years, with another project also occupying some of the team's effort, and we're trying to pump out part 2 in 1 year. There's a general rule that, you know, games shouldn't take more than 3 years. If they do, you know, you're doing it wrong. That goes not just for, like, mods, but for, you know, AAA games as well, which is why when people say, like, oh, like, they should take more time to do, like, Halo 5 and not do it in 3 years if it's not ready. Like, if you're not getting a game done in 3 years, like, something's wrong. So where did you come up with the idea of SPV3 and everything in it? Well, SPV3 is like a seed of an idea. You know, it really starts with Halo 2 and the disappointment I felt when I first played it. You know, my feeling was this game doesn't play much like Halo 1. It doesn't have what I love about Halo 1, but it has all these cool new features. You know, and the the urge to have, Halo 1 with everything I loved about that was introduced in Halo 2, was kind of the crux of the idea of me even doing modding and, having an interest in game development. So, yeah, the idea goes back to way then, but, in its current incarnation, it was really, that summer of 2011 when it was like, it's too bad we gave up on what we were trying to do. Like, can we do it again, but can we do it, like, with really high quality, with every decision that goes into it being seriously thought about? Can we really keep a quality bar that's really high that does things the best we possibly can? Now, as far as helping 343 make the next Halo better, I would love to work on a Halo game, but I don't see that happening anytime in the near future. I have good confidence in them, though, in doing a good job with Halo 6's campaign and multiplayer. I think 5's multiplayer has really grown to be something probably one of the best in the entire series. And with the campaign, there's really no defending it. Obviously, a lot of really terrible shit went down that made it into the state that it is today. But they know it, and when you work on something, the last thing you want is to make something shitty. And 343 is full of talented people that really want to make great games, and I think Halo Wars 2 is a good indicator of that. I mean, Halo 4, I know some people don't like. I personally hold it in high regard. I hold it in higher regard than roughly half the Bungie games. I like it much more than Halo 2 or Halo Reach. Of course, MCC was a train wreck, but that's a game where not only was the development really difficult in the time span they had, but what they were trying to pull off was really kind of crazy. It's not even top to bottom a 343 game, so yeah. Like I said, Halo Wars 2 is great. Halo Wars 1 Definitive Edition is very good. The only problem really being the lack of matchmaking. That's more of an Xbox One problem than their work on the game. Spartan Strike and Spartan Assault, while not everybody's favorite game, they're well put together for what they are. So I really, I have good faith in the future of Halo. Another person asked, wait, the levels will be shortened like Library 2 Betrayals and the Maw? Well, let me make this clear about what we're doing as far as additions to the level. We are cutting back on it from Part 1. The Maw, not the Maw. 343 Guilty Spark, the Library, and Keys are all the exact same levels they were before. 2 Betrayals has those areas you saw in Assault in the Control Room that you're now doing in reverse. And the one you did with the tank is really, really cool. It's like the largest on-foot area I think a Halo game has actually ever had. Because you don't use vehicles in 2 Betrayals. So that's really cool. And then the Maw has plans for new areas, which we talked about in the last video, which is, a kind of a flood hive and some new areas to explore. We're also revisiting the area of the Mission Halo. Again, doing it in reverse with the Flood and the Marines and the Covenant all fighting. So that will be, that'll be your, your dose of, oh, this is like new for me to do. And that includes the new areas that we had in the Mission Halo as well in Part 1. Another person asks, will there be detrimental damage to Truth and Reconciliation, the Keys level? For example, can it be slightly infected, like from Halo 2's High Charity, and the interior of the ship is falling apart? And the answer is yes. There is like biomass everywhere, and it's all floody and foggy, and we've gone to great lengths to make sure that when you do revisit an area from the previous first part of the game, that there are like noticeable visual changes. Like Keys is gonna have all this fog and flood biomass. Pillar of Autumn has new lighting. I'm not the Pillar of Autumn. Well, yeah, the Pillar of Autumn ship, but the level, the Maw has new lighting. And then for 2 Betrayals, it's cool. We changed all the blue lights to be like the sick orange, so it's kind of like the ring is signifying like, hey, these areas aren't safe, like danger, warning, orange lights. So it gives it like almost a kind of hellish, atmosphere when you go inside the structures, which contrasts really nicely with the deep blue that's in the outside areas, since it's nighttime. So we have that. And looking through the questions from last week, there's one last one to really answer, and that's, for the library mission, are you planning to have the Covenant there for a 3-way battle? And the answer is yes. You'll find Covenant patrols going through the library, because they're also after the Index. So, you'll be finding Covenant camps and things like that inside the library where, maybe some of the areas that were more frustrating there's that third faction there to help kill the Flood, but you have to kill them too, and you're gonna have to make those decisions on which one you want to kill more. How much can you help the Covenant without leaving them too strong? How much can you hurt them without giving the Flood an easy victory? So there'll be decisions like that to make when you go through the library. With that, I think I'm going to conclude this first Q&A. If you have any other questions, leave them below. If you have any comments, leave them in the comments. And that's it for now. Hopefully I'll be doing this again next week. Be sure to subscribe. Hope you guys enjoy all this non-SPV3 related content, Q&As, beta footage of Halo 1, things of that nature. So, let me know what you think below. And that's it for now. Take care, guys.